Yo, what's up, gang?
There's no
Ganglia.
chat.
The ganglia. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Hope y'all are having a good one. Bright side, good morning and welcome. Typical hard worker, also good morning and welcome. Thank you for being here, bro. I know you're one of our newer community bros, but yeah, I'm glad that you came back, man. It's very cool to have you here. I think I was asking you a little bit last time, but do you have an interest in UE5? I'm trying to remember. I try to remember a little bit about everyone who comes through chat and hangs out. 84 minutes away from New Year. Damn, bro. Are you in Europe then? No, Asia.
Like 13 hours ahead.
Oh, you're in India. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if you were actually in India. That's dope. That's really cool. That's sweet to know that we've got an Indian bro out there over in the what is it, the subcontinent, saying what up. I like that you like hanging out with us. But I know that you're a little bit newer, so you probably don't even know like the whole deal. I think I told you a little bit about Fractal Grove. I don't know if I've told you like why I'm doing this, who I am or like who Tony is. You have zero family and zero friends? Nah, that's crazy. You got friends here, bro. Brightside's one of your friends, you know? Is that true, Brightside? I don't want to put words in your mouth. But either way, love spending time with online strangers. Hell yeah. I think that's most of our community is people who love spending time with online strangers. So yeah, I've been a game designer for like 15 years. I've worked on a bunch of stuff, everything from like mobile to AAA. I've done experience design outside of the games industry too. I worked on some robots. There's a company in Colorado called Sphero. I worked for them for about a year. I did the
Sphero still exists.
I don't know. I think they're Spark now. I think they've like rebranded again and become a learning tool exclusively. They don't do toys. They just do educational robots.
Oh yeah, this entire website is school and kids. And,
yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
So Sphero's in probably not the greatest shape if they've rebranded again entirely. So when I started working there, they were called Orbotics, but their toy was called Sphero. So it was confusing. So they just rebranded to Sphero, and that was what the whole company was. And then, some years later, they've since rebranded as, I'm guessing Spark.
It's still Sphero.
Still Sphero? Okay.
Yep.
Spark was the educational program in that. Anyway, so I did.
I don't actually see Spark at all. They have like Indie,
SPRK?
Snap, Little Bits, Mini, Bolt, Rover, Blueprint. But,
Bolt was a Spark thing.
Yeah, Bolt teaches coding, math, and
Yep.
more through hands-on activities. Yep.
So they probably rebranded Spark into Bolt.
And then I know they bought that Snap company.
Yep.
Just a little more backstory. Sphero is the reason Vince and I are even friends, and kind of like tangentially why I had a friend who started working there who became friends with Vince's friend. Vince used to work there. People introduced me, but I used to go hang out at Sphero Labs a lot because it's a very cool building up in Boulder that just had like, at least at the time, they had like 2 buildings in this office park, and like one side was like basically just like mad scientist laboratory, just like people building crazy robots and experiments with them, and had a really cool content creation studios and stuff like that. It was really cool to go up there. So yeah.
My favorite part about working there was that when I was there, I mean, shit, dude, this is like 10 years ago now. This is a long time ago. But when I was there, the whole company was basically that mad scientist lab that you're talking about. Like, that's what we did most of the time, was just like fuck around and make cool stuff and play with it and figure out what's interesting about it. So as a designer,
they made the BB-8 that was in
Star
Wars
real quick.
sequels, but they made like the BB-8 that was in the Star Wars sequels, like the one that they put in the movie, and then they started making the take-home toy version, and I think that really blew their company up for a while. But I don't know, even at the time, like their entire business model became like make Star Wars toy robots, and it didn't really seem like it was gonna last, and it didn't.
I don't fucking know where it is, but yeah. It's the problem is that it's expensive. So if you wanted to the way this robot worked, which is pretty cool, and this is when I came in before, like I was there during the whole Star Wars collaboration, when it was starting and all of that. But it's a robot ball, and it's app controlled, so you control it on your phone. When I got there, it was basically just a remote control ball, and there wasn't like anything to do with it. It didn't make any sense. It was very difficult to get people to engage with it for longer than literally the average user time was 10 seconds. So
just about how fun it is to play, how long it is fun to play with it, and then through all the people I knew that worked there, like somebody gave me almost every single model they ever made, and I would play with them once and then put them in a box and they're in a closet somewhere.
So my job was to increase that engagement and give people stuff to do to show off what the robot could do. So I built a software experience around that, put in some like progression systems, some leveling up, a story, a bunch of other like tasks, tutorials, some tricks, a bunch of other shit that you could do with the toy itself. So that then became like the flagship software experience that turned into the BB-8 things and all that other stuff. So from there, I then was like, I started trying to break more directly into games, but I worked on a mobile game before Sphero called Astro Golf. I think it's now called Star Balls. Interesting game, whatever. It's the first game I made. I was a level designer on that. And then from Sphero, I got hired at Bungie, worked on Destiny 2 from launch up until Shadowkeep, I think. I always say Witch Queen, and I think it's Shadowkeep. Witch Queen was the last one I played, and that was with like Mikowski a couple of years ago. So anyway, since then I've worked on, I worked for Topgolf for a little bit as a lead level designer on a mobile app for them, and then I went to Free Range Games, worked on a couple projects, shipped Return to Moria, and around then, I was the only employee in Colorado. It was a San Francisco-based company. This is still kind of at the tail end of COVID. I was too expensive. That project was over budget. They let me go. But Tony and I had been talking for a couple of years, and I was like, maybe it's time to go full-time on Fractal Grove. And we've been doing that, in a couple days here. It'll be 3 years of stream, about 3.5 years of Fractal Grove. So that's where I'm at now. Behind me here, you can see this sniper rifle prop. I can't pick it up. I've tried doing that early on in the stream, and YouTube just hates that. They kick us offline. So
going into the third year of stream, finishing the second year of stream, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's where we're at. I've done a lot of stuff, but I thought, I was like, what, now's the time. We're comfy. I'm back home in Colorado. That's where I wanted to be. I found a great business partner in Tony, and we've been trying to do this thing from the ground up. There is no industry in Colorado, so we basically live on the internet, and that's kind of the way we have to do it. So we have to like build the community in Colorado. You might see some game devs like Serenity Forge. I think they're the biggest. Ilphonic is another one. But they're still pretty small. A lot of these shops Ilphonic is more of like a publisher of weird indie niche titles, like, Doki Doki Literature Club type shit. And Ilphonic has done collaborative work on some larger games that include like horror games and stuff. I can't remember exactly what they've done, but basically that's it. There's like nothing in Colorado. And there wasn't when I started out either. So like moving to Seattle and working at Bungie was like a huge deal, because I was actually in the industry at that point, instead of working on these like weird games adjacent things. So that got me to the point where, I could get another job. I needed to be remote. So being remote was also a sticking point, even in COVID times, which was really weird. A lot of game studios want people to return to office and stay in the office and do all that shit. It's not necessary. It's completely unnecessary. But yeah, that's just kind of the way that goes. I just realized I need to pull up YouTube. So yeah, typical hard worker. That's my spiel. Tony is a successful software entrepreneur. He's been how long have you been doing it, Tony? Like 10 years or something now?
Yeah, to some extent, going into the 10th year. Yeah.
Nice, man. You should be proud of that. I know that sometimes, like when you're in the shit on your own, like doing your thing, it can be pretty rough. But you should be proud of that, dude. You've done very well. So Tony's a successful software entrepreneur. He's started several companies, built businesses, does graphic design, web design, software engineering, all that stuff. Like that's his core business. Always wanted to get into games. So, like he was saying, we met through mutual friends at Sphero, and we were doing this thing, and it's going, and it's just going to take us time, but we will get there. So we do the stream 4 hours a week on YouTube, which I just remembered again, I need to pull up YouTube and Twitch. And this funds the studio. So this covers our operations costs, web servers, all that shit, software licenses, everything that we need to pay for just incidentally out of pocket to keep the business operating. The streams cover, you guys cover, which is absolutely fucking fantastic. We can't pay ourselves. It's not, it doesn't work that way, but it is technically a profitable company. It's just, we don't make very much at all. We can't pay ourselves. We can't pay other people. So we're all kind of like a team of volunteers at this point. So Dr. Wallfacer. Yeah. Okay, let me get to YouTube. I got to make sure I've got stream pulled up over there. If AAA Battery, if you're over there and you're just waiting for me to acknowledge you, I apologize. I appreciate you being there every time or most times. Let's see. We got this one. All right, cool. And that's muted. All right. Ain't nobody there, but I got it up. So if anyone comes through YouTube chat, we'll see you there. Which, by the way, typical hard worker, that has all of our links. So the things that help us the most, you don't have to give us any bits, any subs or anything like that, though those do help. But follows and watch hours on YouTube are super, super important. We've almost monetized YouTube. Actually, shit, we're probably going to roll over here in like 4 or 5 months again and not be AdSense monetized, right? We got
we're gonna lose our existing momentum with the marathon videos.
But it's fine. It is what it is. I don't like making marathon videos.
Yep. No, we'll make drone videos when it's time, and that'll be good. I'm planning on it. I'm just not spending time on it until it's about done.
Yeah, the internet denizens just want more. Let's talk shit and get mad about Bungie's marathon. And that wasn't what any of our videos were like, but having former Bungie designer talk about marathon and be like candid and express stuff, it got the notice of several higher profile content creators, which was good, but I don't want to, that's not what we are. We're not out here being reaction content people or anything like that. We're not content creators. We're game developers, but we do this to sustain the business. So yeah. Brightside, how was your Christmas? And do you have any plans for New Year's? You doing anything crazy? Same for you, hard worker. I don't know if if you're in India, I know your holidays, you have like significantly more holidays than we do. Is there any like overlap with like Western holidays for like Christmas time and New Year's and shit like that? And while you guys are writing stuff, I've got a few video games news articles. We're kind of taking it easy still today. Like this is our second week of vacation, so next week we're gonna go back into Dread, hardcore, get that shit buttoned up, finished, polished, wrapped up, and shipped. It's probably gonna be in February, is my guess, when we really have all the bows tied off and everything, and we're ready to like make the store page. So March would be my assumption for like actual launch, but I feel like we're gonna wrap the project in February just based on how we've been working on it for 2 months. December was a bit of a wash. We just didn't really do much in December, but that's the way it goes. It's holiday season, so teams have been taking a break and resetting our heads. How long will it have been to make it? So we started October. Yeah, so realistically about 4 months to finish the whole project. But we also changed scope and a bunch of other stuff. So
and basically took all of December off.
So. Yeah. So the initial design has changed a bit, but I'm aware of that. Like I knew that was going to happen. Made games before, and it always happens that way. So with the correct things, it's okay to increase scope. Tony's made some really fucking cool technology that I think will make the experience better. So, but that's caused the design to pivot a little bit, and so we have to make adjustments around that. So, yeah. Let's see. That's the thing. Liminal horror game Daydream? No, I haven't looked at that. This thing looks great, but they've got nothing of substance. Just character models and that.
Put it up on the screen here.
Yes, exactly. Brightside. New meta is absolutely. I mean, that's not even new meta, brother. That's like how AAA's been doing it forever. You start marketing day one of a project, and you don't even know what the fucking shit is. So the marketing team is always, talking to the content authoring team and the design teams and all that, going like, what are we making? We need to show some shit. We have to keep building these impressions, keep building this buzz, keep building this conversation so that when the product goes into the market, people buy it immediately. And that's the whole point of marketing in video game software, at least entertainment software. So yeah, I mean, I think even among indies are starting to emulate that a lot. I mean, there's a person who streams in this category who's done that. Hilfert Games. You could say that, he might have some gameplay, but everything I've seen about was it Days Gone or Long Gone, something like that? One of the two. It's a pixel zombie survival narrative experience thing. I haven't seen a lot of gameplay. I've seen a lot of art, a lot of really good lighting. It's gorgeous. It looks great. But I'm not really sure what his game is, like, to be fair. In the description and like a couple of the clips he's made, his marketing is outstanding. And because of that outstanding marketing, like, dude signed a publishing deal with Outer Sloth or Inner Sloth, one of the two. They have two different branches, but whatever the Sloth publisher is. Open a Patreon and just milk it. I mean, like Brightside, we know that there are people in this category who do that. We've talked about them. It's very clear that
Team Bash.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, Tony just said it. Team Bash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you say we're making the next generation MMO, 10 hours a day, no days off, 7 days a week, and like, I don't know, man. MMOs require teams of hundreds of people and hundreds of millions of dollars to make. It's crazy to say that that's what you're going to build. if there's just 2 of them, like they're gonna finish that game in 15 years. Like if they even finish it, they probably can't keep up with technology as it changes. They're gonna start building it on a certain like tech stack that is gonna be obsolete in 5 years. So who fucking knows? A good example of that: Escape from Tarkov. Lovely, wonderful game. It's great. Very poorly made game, but the poorly made part of it comes from the fact that they chose to use Unity early on in the project. They have a completely custom version of Unity. The game takes egregiously long amounts of time to load into a game session. It's got tons of like weird issues with it, but it's a fun game. So they have a lot of technical debt. You can just tell with the way, you know, the types of issues they have with Tarkov, the things that people refer to as bugs or glitches or whatever. You can just tell that it's a symptom of how it was made. The game has been around for 10 years. They're carrying a heavy amount of technical debt. So I'm hopeful that with the success of the 1.0 release of Tarkov, that we're potentially going to see a big change. Like they might do an engine change. They might do a massive update that like completely overhauls the game and it's very speedy and all that. I think recently Nikita was talking about, Tony, Nikita was saying he could get loading times down to under a minute per map or something like that.
I said 5 seconds. I don't believe it.
Yeah. Sure, Nikita, 5 seconds.
12 minutes to 5 seconds. Sure.
12 minutes to 5 seconds. Yo, what's up, mocap? December has been more like no Devember for me. I think everyone's like that, man. And it's guys, like, don't be hard on yourselves. You know, I know Brightside is a chronic worker. He's always working on shit. Don't be so hard on yourselves. You know, I try to tell Tony this too. Take a minute, take a break, get bored of being bored. You know what I mean? Like, do enough self-care to be like, I need to go fucking do something now. So that's why I really like this December break of like 2 weeks. We usually do like Christmas, New Year's, you know, like through that 2 week period, because by the end of it, like I'm ready to fucking work on shit right now. But I know that if I give it a couple more days and just hit next week hard, I will be able to carry that momentum through the rest of the year. And that works really well for me. If I think about it, that's probably psychological conditioning just from the jobs I've had over, you know, a career of 40 years, because that's what I would always do. I would save up all my vacation, use it for this 2 week period. And I basically just like hang out with my wife, play video games all day. And I mean, you know, do shit like you would do when you were in high school or college and you were just a complete bum, you know, wake up, turn on the console, start playing some fucking games, eating a bowl of cereal, and like you do that until like 1 o'clock in the morning. You just do that for a couple days straight, right? Like when you get to that point, you're like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I gotta go do something else. And that I find for me, that gives me a lot of productivity and motivation. So anyway, to each their own, but I always think like, especially in this business, we're all very passionate. We love what we're doing. Just don't forget, take a break. You know, I've talked about it with you guys, and Adder has definitely attested to that, saying, yeah, shipping a COD title to miss out on core memories of my grandparents before they passed away was not fucking worth it. And I'm like, yep. Even if especially if it's your own project, you want to just fucking keep working on it. You feel this like urge of like, I gotta finish this shit, otherwise it'll never get done. And then you can get in this endless loop of just stressing yourself the fuck out. Sometimes you need to take a break. So don't be hard on yourself, mocap. It's okay. I can't wait until I do my marketing beat, but I'm so uncomfortable with my gameplay. Mocap, if you want to like talk about it, man, that's another thing with this stream. Turning Cog finally reached out and said he wanted to talk about Vayne and see if I could help him kind of like point things in a better direction so that he kind of knows what he needs to work on and like, you know, put some more constraints in place. So we're going to chat today after stream, assuming that he's still down for that. But yeah, we're going to chat a little bit today and just go over some stuff. And whenever I say this shit, I'm not going to be offended if you guys don't take my advice, you know, like that's not necessarily what it's even about. It's about just getting a different perspective. Someone who wants to, you know, give you the time. It's very hard to make shit in a vacuum. So Let's see. This is the problem. Wish I had confidence to push a game that has literally nothing to it. But I have this posting paralyzation that I don't want to post my shit unless it's bugless. No, honestly, Brightside, I think that's a very strong instinct. That is good.
Literally what we're going through with Dread, I think.
Yeah, you can't post bad stuff because then you can't unpost it. It's there, and people will always be like, "This you, man," and like highlight your mistakes and just like antagonize you with it. Just shove that in your face over and over again. Marketing is very, very delicate, especially in entertainment software. You have to be really careful. Let's see. Who cares if it's bugless and no one knows that it even exists? Yeah. So there's a critical mass of when it's successful enough and enough people have seen it, you're going to catch the haters. The haters are a small percentage. Just be aware of that. So if you have some very vocal haters, that is a small percentage. If you're big enough that you're like Bungie with Marathon, there's a drive for people to want to see this shit fail, and they're the loudest. But I've also seen a lot of positive like impressions. There are people who are like, I want this game, I'm going to play this game. You know, they have devotion to Bungie as a studio. It's going to happen that way, and I think they actually have a chance of success. I think if we're talking, 6 months ago or whatever it was, pre-art scandal, they didn't have a great chance. If we're talking like the summertime when we did that first alpha or whatever, it was it had potential, but it wasn't there yet. So I don't fucking know. It's still up in the air.
I watched this breakdown of Concord the other day. That was just like analysis of everything that happened and kind of why it failed and stuff. And there's a lot of ex-Bungie there, and you can see a lot of similar Bungie ethos, I think, in some of the stuff that they talked about. But you can also tell that like Bungie's not willing to make the same mistake that Concord did. Like the Concord team was like so dug into like positive reinforcement of what they were doing and like not being critical of each other and like not listening to feedback that we ended up with what we got, which probably had really good bones, but like had a lot of really poor decisions made. It seems like Bungie's been able to get out in front of it with Marathon enough and is listening to feedback in certain ways, at least enough that like, to your point, it does seem like the conversation is swinging a lot more positive than it used to be from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be dead in the water the day it comes out. I'm pretty convinced of that now. I don't know if it has the legs to last as long as they need it to, but it seems like they're, not going to end up being Concord 2 yet.
I'll say this. I worked with the majority of people at Firewalk at Bungie. And the best way I can sort of describe like the paradigm and the way people thought about games. The people who went to Firewalk to work on Concord were very skilled at making video games. They understand the craft really well. They had goals. I'm sure you guys have heard this in the discourse, out there on the internet about the game industry and who's making games and whatever. They had this shared mentality that video games, the most important piece of anything with art is messaging and expressing ideas to people that make them feel a certain way about stuff. Not, and this is the tricky part, because you guys have heard me say this shit too, but that's not the same thing as good game. So when I say it, what I mean is I want people to feel emotions while playing a good game. What I'm talking about is the pendulum is a little too far in the direction of you need to feel emotions. Good game is sort of secondary. So the problem with Concord is that the game didn't do anything new or special. It was a really well-defined existing archetype, called an arena shooter, which is like Halo or Splitgate, right? So they went that route, but they also added hero shooter components on top of it. We all know that hero shooters are incredibly worn out. Nobody wants to play them anymore. People are very tired of hero shooters, so they just don't want that shit anymore. So they went hero shooter, arena shooter, which is problematic. It played fine. It was actually fun. It was good. It felt good as an arena shooter. Then you add all of the other political messaging and other stuff that they put on top of it in identity politics. That's the problem. So you had this group of people who had this very specific idea about what games should be. That idea wasn't meshing with what Bungie thought of as Destiny at the time. You can see flavors of that thinking from Concord, but if you imagine that those people then left and went to go do their own thing and say, this is really what we should make, we should lean way into this idea of what a game is, that's why you got Concord. That's why nobody liked it.
Yeah, they really highlighted the fact that like some of the best 3D artists in the industry worked on that team and made like those cinematics that they had, and you know, they got in secret level and the gameplay itself was fine, like, you know, didn't have any bugs, worked really well, the netcode was good. Like you said, I think it felt fairly okay from like a first-person shooter perspective, but it's just like the people who took those pieces and made something of it made a really bad thing.
They made something that they were really passionate about and believed in, but they're the only people who believed in it.
Yeah,
that's the tricky part. And art should exist for art's sake, but commercial success through art is not that. It's you have to understand the audience. And guys, like, who's playing games? Young men. That's a simple fucking truth. Most of the people who are playing games are like 14 to 24-year-old males. That's it. It's like high school, college age dudes. They're gamers. They're absolutely people all over the world from every walk of life that play video games. But the core gamers, I've talked about this, the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the audience is that core group. Those are the core gamers, the young men. That group carries it. Those guys are buying, 16 different video games a year. The other 80% are buying maybe one game a year. So it's just, they're not carrying the industry. So if you make games for the 80% who are buying one game, you have to make a lot of good decisions that you're chasing this, like they're trying to grasp smoke. They're like, if we could only get the 80%, so many more people. They're not spending in the same way as the 20% is. It's just that they're not enthusiasts. It's not going to work that way. Sorry, I want to catch up on chat. Want to set up a build to send out to people who've just been crazy busy this month. Mocap, you don't even have to send me a build, brother. If you want to just like show me what you're working on and we can chat through some things, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going to do with Turning Cog, is just hop in a call with him and just chat with him, get an idea of where his head's at, talk to him about some stuff, see what he wants to do. Just kind of help give him a little shape to what he's talking about. I did the same thing with Brightside, and I hope he found it valuable. But I talked with him about Slice and Dice a little bit. So yeah. What is the one that was Concord 2? I can't remember what it was called, Tony.
I don't know. Let me look.
It's like King's Fall or something. That's not what it's called. You know what I mean?
Yeah, King's Fall.
It was the last game at the Game Awards.
High Guard,
yeah. Yep. So I had someone ask me, they were like, hey, as a dude who's made video games, I really want to know what your take on it is, because the internet is saying a bunch of shit. And, you guys heard it on stream, but my take was, I don't know what this game is. I have no idea. It's very hard to tell what the gameplay is. I don't think Concord 2, like the internet's just going to keep calling everything that they don't understand Concord 2, which
the reason I think this one is Concord 2 is because it's like a weird multiplayer PvP only thing that like requires 10,000 active players to kind of work.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's not going to get that, and that will cause it to probably be taken offline in 2 weeks or whatever, like Concord was. I don't know. I can see like the through line to that thinking for people.
So you think it's like too niche of like a weird thing? But it could be really good, Tony. Like, so I'm thinking about it like this: if it's an open world hero shooter, so I'm making guesses here just based off of what I saw in the trailer. If it's an open world hero shooter, meaning that like you and I could run around like it was Destiny, right? But it was a way bigger map.
I don't believe that's what it is.
I know, but I'm just saying. If it's that, and then we team up to go attack the other player's base, that could be interesting because there's no game like that. I thought Firefall is the closest I could think of, and that was pretty much DOA. Firefall lived a little bit, and that was more of an MMO. Yeah. But if it's that kind of a thing, an open world hero shooter, I honestly think it's probably going to be more like a MOBA.
To me, it looks like it plays like a battle royale, without the storm circle.
Yeah, battle royale without the storm circle, and like maybe MOBA mechanics is what I was thinking. Because
there's something about like capturing locations or something. Yeah,
so capturing locations would be MOBA. You know,
I don't know. Like I'm sitting here and I'm trying to think of like a creative take on a multiplayer game like this that has come out in the past 2 decades that actually worked aside from battle royales, because that one definitely did happen. But I can think of all of the evolves and weird attempts at creating some sort of asymmetrical PvP type thing that just like doesn't really work. So like I don't know, I just think this one's gonna end up like that. That's why I think it's Concord too.
No, I agree with you. The asymmetric multiplayer idea is a really interesting thing, especially as a game designer, because you're like, no one's done it before. I want to crack this nut and solve this problem. I get that, but I would never do it. I'd be like, no one's gonna play this. So if you think about the audience, think about it like this. Me and the boys, we're gonna play a game, right? Are we gonna play a game where one of our friends has to go be the enemy of all of us? That's not a good idea. Like you're already splitting up the social circle and you're rotating who's the bad guy. The best example I can give is a board game that I've played a lot of called Betrayal at the House on the Hill. Betrayal is very interesting because when you start the game, thank you, Sparkle. I appreciate the Prime. Sorry about this morning. I promise as soon as I got your message, I ran to go answer the door and do all that stuff. So, okay. So think about it this way. Betrayal, the way that works is everyone's on the same team. And so I think this is a part of the problem. When you start on the same team, everyone's working together. But at a certain point, one of your players becomes the enemy and has to kill everyone. When that happens, someone is upset. Someone in your social group, in your circle, is going to be upset because either the bad guy wins and kills everyone, now the rest of the group is bad at one person, or the group defeats the one person and they're alone in their fucking loss and everyone else is cheering and excited and they're like, yeah, fuck you. And you're like, I feel like a piece of shit. I lost and all my friends, beat me and talk shit to me. Like that's a really weird dynamic. Like I'm just thinking about like what people like overcoming challenges together as a group with communication and like compassion and trust. And, those are social things that we as social animals really like. So you try to subvert that and flip shit on its head. It's a little funky. And I think in a video game where you start out automatically as the adversary, who's going to want to play that? Do you want to talk shit to all your friends and be like the bad guy the whole time? Your friends probably don't like you that much. They're not going to enjoy that. And Among Us is totally different, Brightside, because it's a smaller chunk. It's a really tiny piece. I think that works because it's not necessarily on its face asymmetrical. You don't know who the imposter is. Yeah, I'm with Mocap on that. It feels different. You don't know who the bad guys are. You know what I mean? And as soon as you find out, that's the game and it's solved. So that works really well because that is based on, I've heard it called Mafia. I've heard it called Werewolf. Werewolf is really interesting. And these are like icebreaker social games. You get like a card and you're sitting in a circle with a group of people and you're all just talking to each other. Exactly, Mocap. Yeah, it's social deduction. And it's all the social stuff that we as human beings know, just like evolutionarily, like why we have societies and all that shit. It's based on those very simple rule sets, and it helps people get to know each other. I've always found that playing Werewolf with strangers makes me fucking hate certain people. And I'm just like, I never want to interact with that person. You know, like you see what someone can actually be like. So that's dangerous. Now consider it this way. If it's a group of friends, you can forgive your friend, you know, like there's the Battlestar Galactica board game is like that too. There are Cylons and then there's not Cylons, and you got to figure out who the Cylon is and all that. But Battlestar Galactica can get very, very, very intense. I know people who've lost friendships over playing that game. So if we look at that, we look at all these examples, why the fuck would you make an asymmetrical video game? It's never going to work. It just won't. Unless it's pure strangers and you're, you know, say you can't play with your friends, so you could queue up as the bad guy and you play the bad guy. That could work. But at the same time, you're alone in victory and you're alone in defeat if you're that one asymmetric player, regardless of how powerful you are. The other trick is with video games, because we as human beings are incredibly smart and resourceful, and we always try to find these shortcuts around stuff and like learn these optimal combos. The more people you get together cooperating, the harder it is to balance the ability and challenge for the individual who's trying to beat them, because they have like 6 brains trying to beat them instead of just one other brain. So that's why fighting games work. It's a 1v1. You're just fighting one person. When you're faced with multiple opponents, you have to get it to where it's one-on-one. If you don't get it into one-on-one, it's one of the hardest things to do. I mean, they teach that in like, you know, martial arts and shit, self-defense and stuff. Like if you're facing multiple opponents, you run away. You get it to where it's only a 1v1 every time. So anyway. You only played one Betrayal and hated it? Mocap, honestly, like, we've had a lot of fun playing Betrayal. I will say some of the scenarios are imbalanced, but we've had a lot of fun when we're all just drinking and shooting the shit.
Is this the one with the haunted baby?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And we got really mad. I got really mad at my wife. She was the betrayer, and she felt really bad, and I had to apologize to her, but like, all of us were disappointed. We were like, what the fuck? You just won? Because it felt unfair. We all felt cheated, and she was excited, but we couldn't like celebrate her victory because we were the ones who just fucking lost.
Erin loves the long game, though. That's perfect for her.
Yeah. No, and she's a very good gamer. Like, she, like, playing games with her, like anything that's like intellectual, you're fucked.
She is the threat at the table every time, for sure.
Oh yeah. Yep. She's a cold-blooded killer in games, and you never would expect it. She's adorable, very sweet and kind, and
anything that she enjoys or, you know, gets good at or is passionate about, it's like, it's over. She's gonna get really, really fucking good at that.
So as I'm talking about these kinds of experiences, I think it's important to bring up Tarkov, because that's what we've been doing together. You know, as a couple, really tight squad communication, hyper lethality, very high risk. The amount of trust and communication you need to be successful as a team is super high. And we love doing that together. So yeah, look, she's smiling. There we go. So yeah, Sparkle, like, her and I, you know, we'll play like super hardcore, you know, tack shooter, very masculine game, like, together, and it's a good time. So think about that. The stakes are really, really high in that, but the cooperative element of it makes it so much better because everyone else is the enemy. If you make your friends the enemy, I think it's just a doomed, it's just gonna fail as like a game design, right? So I don't know. That's kind of my rant on the asymmetrical stuff. So going all the way back to, was it High Guard, Tony? Is that what it's called?
I believe so, yes.
Going all the way back to that, you'd have to foster 2 adversarial teams. You know, look at World of Warcraft. Horde versus Alliance. The amount of acrimony that existed in WoW servers between Horde and Alliance was absolutely fucking absurd. But it created this unity among the factions where everyone wanted to work together and support each other. And it was all in the effort to undermine the goals and, you know, gameplay of the opposing faction. So just as human beings, it's how we work, and that's what we want to do. So I don't know. I don't see a super successful way to have your friends be your enemies and then be like all happy with each other at the end of it, right? Like, you're gonna do some shit that pisses people off on either side, and that'll harm social dynamics. Maybe this is why Friend Slop is so successful right now. because it's pure cooperative, and it's kind of wacky and low stakes and fun, but you get to like hang out with your buddies and have silly moments. RV
It
there
just keeps
yet?
getting explained, like, you know, it's more about gaming with your friends and less about what you're actually playing.
Exactly, it's a social thing. It's not the game itself, right? What do you think it means from the creators of Apex and Titanfall? So here's the problem with that. Titanfall 2, how old is that? When did that come out?
I'm gonna go 2014 probably.
Okay, so we're talking 10 years ago. More than that, almost 15. So you have to consider, why did those people leave? I think they're using that in the same way that, like, I would say, you know, I worked at Bungie, I made these things at Bungie. That's kind of the thing. It may not be the worst guy, but they could literally be anybody. It could be like a producer and a, you know, QA person. We know it's not Vince Impella, rest in peace, brother in my namesake. That was a tragedy. That sucks, because that dude is actually the creator of Titanfall and Apex and, you know, Modern Warfare. Like, one of the most visionary FPS designers that has ever existed. You know, tragically died in a car accident like a week ago or something. So that guy, he didn't fucking shout about his acumen. He didn't shout about his accolades and what he worked on. He just made cool shit.
And anytime the studio he was working at started getting stupid, he just went to a new one and made something amazing again.
He
like,
just
over and over and
every
over. It was
time.
just like COD into Titanfall, into Battlefield, into Apex. Like,
all he does is win. So yeah. But yeah, Brightside, I wanted to say, like, I don't necessarily mean it's the worst guy, you know. But I think the claim is a marketing tool. It's to be like, I worked on this. And then people are like, well, what did you do on it? Like, there was, what was that interview you posted, Tony? I know a lot of people started talking about it. It was the marketing guy from Bungie talking about rebranding Marathon as not an extraction shooter, but something else, because he didn't like the turn of phrase. And I'm like, you don't even know what you're fucking talking about. That's going to be the easiest way to get people to understand what the game is you call it an extraction shooter. Don't call it something different because you want to avoid the competition. Like, that's crazy. Maybe make your game better. Make your game more faithful to what an extraction shooter is, instead of trying to, like, thin it out and, you know, not understand the pieces that drive people to play those games. Same as a movie that comes out and it's like from the creators of Scary Movie and it's the one guy, the worst guy. Yeah, I do think that there's a likelihood that that's a piece of it, you know? And there are people who will today be like, I worked at Bungie. I worked on, you know, Destiny 2, but they worked on it in like the last year, and it's not a good game right now. It's just not. And I know that makes the Destiny fans very angry at me for saying that. But there's, you know, I didn't like the direction the game was going in when I did Shadowkeep. I really didn't like it. I don't play Destiny anymore. It used to be my favorite game. And we're talking like, shit, dude. How long ago is this now? It's like 6 years, something like that. Yeah, it's like 6 years ago that I worked on the game. And it's very, very, very different now. It is not the same game that I remember working on, being passionate about, and loving working on. It's just become kind of a sloppy mess of power creep and progression and all this other stuff. So if you say I worked on Destiny and it's 2025 Destiny, I don't know that carries the same weight as I worked on Destiny and made the raids for, you know, I made Kingsfall, right? Like, that was sick as fuck. Like, the Taken King was such a good expansion. That was like peak Destiny time. And if you're like, I worked on that carries so much more weight than I worked on the Neo Muna season of fucking whatever. That was super weird, and like Ninja Turtles and Star Wars are in there. All this other wacky shit. Like, it's just not the same game. Okay, so hard, not necessarily a hard pivot. Another piece of news is that GOG, I don't know if you guys are familiar with GOG as like a competitor to Steam, good old games. But GOG was sold by CDPR back to the founder, is what Tony was saying. And a lot of people are like freaking out about that, but it's probably going to be okay. I'm guessing GOG was not something CDPR could manage very well. with all of the other things they have in flight. And so being like, well, let's just hand it back to this guy. It'll be fine. Seems okay to me. Admittedly, I don't know much about it. I don't really care about the platform that much. I use Steam. You know, I play games that I want to play, and you know, if it's on a certain platform, I'll go buy it, whatever platform it's on. I've been playing Tarkov on BSG's launcher since like 2017, 2018, something like that. So I've been playing it for a very long time, and I really like it. Yeah, so that being said, I mean, it's hard for me to not talk about Tarkov a lot right now, because that's what I've been doing over this last week, is just no-lifing Tarkov and really, really pouring myself into it and enjoying it. I've gotten way farther than I've ever got in PvE versus PvP. Yep. Yeah, Tony, you've been fucking getting it, dude.
I'm way farther than I have ever gotten in Tarkov, so that's been cool.
Oh, congratulations, Sushi Fu. I would arguably say PvE is the best version of that game. Until you master that, when you get really good at it, then you want to go do PvP, because the AI can get really predictable. You understand where they're going to be, but it doesn't make the game easier. The game's still very hard.
And if they made the AI better, like, I don't know, it'd be a harder conversation, I think. Yeah. A lot of people just are like, the AI becomes too easy after you play for too long, which, yes and no. I don't know. Like, the normal AI is pretty simple now, but like the bosses are still so scary. So I don't know.
Brightside, what's your take on Ark, dude? I wanna hear, because I know you're not really an extraction shooter guy. Are you even a shooter guy? Like, are you a big shooter player? I feel like you're just a gamer and you play like what the boys are playing, you know? Came home from the holiday dinners, my boys were on, had to try it this weekend. I mean, I think Ark is probably the best entry point into extraction shooters, and if you feel that is really good, you should definitely try out Tarkov PvE. But also, if you like guns and military and stuff like that, nothing does it as good as Tarkov. I like, you know, I can pretend that I'm like a SEAL Team 6 operator, you know, and like have very clear comms and shit like that. Like Tony and I for sure, like, because you'll walk up to the homies and you're like, don't shoot me. What did you say it was, Tony? Blue? You're like, yep. Blue. You just so, blue. Yeah. When you're walking up on the boys, you're like, blue, it's me. Like, don't shoot. This is blue. Like, we're friendly. And then enemy team is red. So you'd be like, you know, tango down, you know, red 12 o'clock, like shit like that. It's really fun to do. And
you just gotta just watch Terminal List and act like they do. That's what we do.
It's super fun. Yeah, Sushi Fu, most of my time spent in Tarkov was PvP. Like, I've got like 1,500 hours of PvP. And all of that being said, I played solo, which is an incredibly hard mountain to climb. I think the highest I got to was like level 43 or 44. So I did work, but all of the knowledge I have has benefited me greatly in PvE, and I'm experiencing parts of the game I never got to experience before because I was playing solo and I wasn't a streamer. I wasn't like mega hardcore into it, and this is the only game I play, and I play 12 hours a day. But that's the kind of game it is. You get more out of the game the more time you put into it, just in level of expertise and knowledge and proficiency with the game. PMC AI is pretty bleh, but it's nice to get to know the boss guard cultist AI behaviors. Yeah, exactly, Sushi Food. That's what I like a lot, because you can then predict the AI and you know where they're going to be, and that helps you prepare for PvP. Some of the best gaming experiences I've ever had were PvP Tarkov with VoIP on. It was incredible. I got into a 20-minute standoff with a team of dudes when I was a solo player. I killed one of their boys. It was a 3-man squad. And I was like kind of trapped in a room on a second floor with only one entrance. Their boy was dead in the hallway, and they were out there and I could hear them. And we were like talking to each other back and forth. Only one guy was talking because the other guy was trying to like pretend he wasn't there, so they didn't know how many numbers. And I'm like, I know there's 2 of you. I could hear you guys running around. And like we got into this fucking standoff for like literally 20 minutes because they were determined to kill me. And I ended up killing the whole squad, but it was just an incredibly satisfying moment. We threw a bunch of grenades at each other. There was healing that had to happen. They eventually pushed into the room. And when they pushed in, I had positioned myself so move speed is really important, and being silent is really important. You base a lot of Tarkov off of your audio. and people want to talk shit about Tarkov audio and say it's bad. Yes, of course, it's not perfect, but the audio carries the game so well that like we were moving around in the space and they had thought I was in a different spot in this room than I was. And I heard the guy go, "Wait, what the fuck? Are you not even in here?" Or he's like, "Where are you?" And I go, "I'm right here, bitch." As I came around the corner and I was just like, bah, 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 and got both of them. And I was like, yes! It was so satisfying. And then I had like 5 minutes to get the fuck out of the raid. So I tried to pack up as much of their shit as I could. I'm like, my hands are shaking and I'm like, I got out and I was like, that was years ago. I still remember this. It was so fun. It was so fucking fun. Like we kept talking shit to each other back and forth. I was like, "Hey man, my squad's on the way. They're going to be here any minute and kill you guys." And so they were just kind of waiting, holding, and I was buying some time to like make sure all my meds were good, all my ammo was topped up, and I would occasionally throw a grenade out the doorway. They'd be like, "Fuck," and like run around and they'd try to throw one back in. It was very cool. Really good moment. Sushi Fu says, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to the VoIP interactions. I watched tons of Landmark, and there seems to be many funnier and intense moments." Yeah, dude. If you take the game seriously in the way of like, I'm not gonna play this like COD where I'm just running around shooting things and looting. It lends itself so well to that. Like if you're being very careful with your movement, and people call it ratting or whatever. There's a difference between like camping in a bush for 25 minutes and waiting for one person to go to an exfil, and like very carefully moving and being purposeful, knowing that there's killers around every corner and it's very dangerous. It's super rewarding. And then VoIP adds just a whole other layer on top. You can absolutely become friendly with people. I've done that many times with the like co-op exfils where you're on like a scav and there's a PMC and I'm like, "Bro, let's get this co-op exfil. We'll get extra rep and like it'll be cool for us, and you might be in a dangerous spot and you just want to get on your PMC." And they're like, "All right, man, pull your knife out." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." Then I'm like, we're good boys. I'm not gonna shoot you. Don't worry. And then we have this like temporary alliance and get out. You don't get any of that in PvE. I wanted to read what Brightside was saying about Arc. I think you said about friend slop is the way I am with gaming. Yeah, gaming is like a social habit for you. It's like hanging out with the boys. Yeah. Try not to game solo. It's a slippery slope of addiction when you work from home. Yeah, I feel that, Brightside. But for me, it's like I was gaming solo when I was a teenager. I've been doing it for like 20, 30 years. So it's a thing that like I love gaming solo. So I don't know. It's my whole life. It's like what I do. So some people could say like, where's the line between addiction and all that? Well, I made it my career, so I feel like I've like went through I play too many games and I'm addicted to gaming and all that. But I always had a goal of like, how do I make this my life? What do I do with it? How do I become good at making these games? And I don't know. I think for some people there's like a natural transition there. But if you're not doing anything with it, you're just gaming all day, like you need a balance. You got to do something with your life. You got to build some stuff, make some things, contribute to society, right? The AI in Arc is amazing. I love the design of the bosses and shit. Totally agree, Brightside. I think that's the shining star. And the environments. Gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful environments. And the AI is really cool. I don't care for the PvP. I don't like that it's third person. There's problems with that. But that's just for me. If you're liking it and you're enjoying it, please continue to do so. I know plenty of people love Arc right now and they're having a good time. Yeah, and Tony likes making shit in Unreal more than playing games, and that's absolutely fine. I get that. May have been playing a little too much Tarkov. I'm crunching right now to finish a short-term contract. Yeah, I get that, Sushi Fu. I mean, the plus side is that PvE is always going to be there, and you do your reset. So, you could take a break. You can definitely take a break and then come back to Tarkov when you finish your crunch. But as with all things in balance, make sure you're taking enough time so that you don't burn yourself out making games, because that is very real. That does happen. I watched it happen, in the 5 years I was at, Bungie. There were people, it was around the 3-year mark when people would wash out and they'd be like, "Fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore." It can be soul draining at times, depending on what your job is and how people react to the things you make. So You absolutely need passion to make video games. Yeah, Unreal Engine's the hardest puzzle game I've ever played. Very true. Very true. And yeah, Unreal's more fun than most games. So I don't feel that way because I'm still a gamer at my, in my heart. The way making games comes to me is that I play other games and I'm like, man, this fucking sucks. I could make something better. And that's my drive, as weird as that sounds. But that's how I got there. And, I've always been telling myself stories and designing characters and, creating worlds and shit like that just for my own personal entertainment. And the more I shared that stuff with people, they were like, you have something special. You should use this for something. My mom always tried to push me to become an author and write books and stuff like that. And I've definitely had other people support that. But video games is always where my passion has been. So I want to create stuff in that medium. And that's where I am. Okay, so GOG. Yeah, it's a thing. Since we're talking about games, I want to say that there's an editorial that I saw on VGC titled "I hope Duskbloods provides a better FromSoft experience. A better FromSoft multiplayer experience than Elden Ring Night Rain did." I want to say this: that Elden Ring Night Rain is a fantastic game. It's very good, and I think it has the same difficulty curve problem for some players that they don't get it. And that's where I read this title from this journalist and I'm like, you just didn't fucking get Night Rain, man. You didn't get it. And you need to play Night Rain with homies. If you're playing without homies and not communicating and coordinating your efforts and having a strategy, it's way fucking harder. And it's more kind of like random chance wackiness. And I just feel like they were probably playing it a little bit wrong. If you want the harder experience, play it solo with matchmaking. If you want the easier experience, coordinate with your friends, talk about strategy, think about your team comp and like what you're going to do and all of that. So that's kind of my take on it. However, for what it's worth, I think that title was a little clickbaity because as I started to read the article, the dude was like, I'm really excited for this. Switch to exclusive kind of sucks, but Miyazaki's at the helm of this one, so I think it's going to be better than Night Rain. And Duskbloods is PvP focused, which is going to be really interesting because there's no PvP in Night Rain. Sushifu says, dude, my last full-time job was as an art director for a studio that had me managing the production of up to 16 games at the same time. Holy shit. Yeah, you went to the ER twice. I'm not fucking surprised, man. Your engineering director had a heart attack. Yeah, dude, seriously. Like, I think this is the fucked up part. A lot of people in the games industry talk about self-care, and they use that as an excuse to never actually do anything. There really is a real balance, though. I think a lot of those people are pretenders, and they like walking around with the moniker of game dev, and they aren't necessarily big contributors. Those are the loud people on Twitter who talk about injustice of the corporate suits who threw them out on the street, and it's like, you had a contract job in the first place. Like, you're not the same as the person who's the art director who had to go to the fucking ER because of stress problems, handling too much workload. Like, and that's not even your fault, Sushi Food. That's your management's fault. That's the leadership team's fault in thinking that one person can run 16 projects as an art director. That's crazy. That's way too fucking much. Am I going to have to buy a Switch 2 for Duskbloods? Unfortunately, yes, mocap. I'm really excited about it. So here's the thing. I'm excited about it. I'm going to wait till it comes out, see what people say. Then I will probably go buy it. And it's not going to be based on people's opinions. I just need to see more of the game. I'll probably watch some streams, see what's up. It's not the kind of game where I'm like, yeah, that's it, I'm buying it day one. Like there are some other games that I know I really want to play, like Metaphor Refantasio. I'm definitely going to not look anything up on that. Just go play it, have a nice like Saturday morning bowl of cereal, playing a JRPG solo experience and have a great time with it. That's probably going to be my exposure to that. And then there's I'm going to do the same thing with Expedition 33. So I've seen a very little bit of it. Tony played it on stream, and I'm like, I really don't want to watch any more of this because I know I'm gonna like this game. So when the time is right and I'm in the single player, experience feel, I will binge that game and have a good time. Yeah, everyone says Expedition 33 is a masterpiece, and I do not doubt that at all. You showed your girlfriend the trailer for Dustbloods? Hell yeah, dude. I still want to play Expedition 33 as well. Stop looking at any of it for the same reason. Yeah, dude, I love that you guys have the same, like, you guys are gamers like I am. Like, it's cool as fuck. You guys are like, oh, this is sick. I don't want to see any more because it's going to ruin it for me. No, that's fucking awesome. My girlfriend is making me play it and get good. That's awesome. So, Mocap, your girlfriend must be a Souls player, because that's definitely a Souls player mentality. I'm kind of like that too, guys. Like, when I play games, if I'm like, this game is really hard, and people say that makes me go, I'm gonna play this game. Like, that's one of the only things that kind of gets me, is when there's a discourse over difficulty, like Sekiro, and people are like, not having an easy difficulty level in this game means that I can't experience it, and that's an accessibility problem. No, it's not an accessibility problem. It's just art. That's what they chose to do. If you want to play it, you have to get good at it.
Yeah, I think the argument that it comes down to for most people, I think too, is like, it's something that you could learn how to do if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there are things that it's like, no, it's just hard. Like, you might not be capable of doing it for whatever reason. But I feel like for most games, it's like, if you want to put the time in and actually commit to trying to get better, like, you probably could.
And the reward
especially
is
like
mastery.
Sekiro. We're not talking about getting professional at Counter-Strike against other humans who have been playing it for 20 years. Like, we're talking about beating a FromSoft game. It's possible.
Mocap, I'm so guilty of that. I do not read the video game stuff. Like, and that's the funny thing. When I was much younger, I would read everything. I would read as much as I possibly could. But as I'm older, I'm like, there's so many games I need to play. I skip shit all the time, and then I'm like, fuck, what was I supposed to do?
Sometimes it's fun to challenge the game design to see if it still works if you don't pay too close attention, It's like, did you guys consider that most people are going to do this?
I will say, great example of a game that does not stand up well to that is Tarkov.
Yep.
Even if you read everything, you're sometimes like, what the fuck was I supposed to do here? How am I supposed to figure that out? Yeah,
it makes me wonder too, because there's things like that in like FromSoft games, for example, where like, somebody like Bati will be like, well, if you read this thing and then you paid attention to this, it's like, it points you right to it if you know what to look for. And it's like, well, nobody's gonna figure that out, but sure, I'm glad they put that there. In Tarkov, I don't know if some of that exists or not.
Yeah, Sushi Fu. That is a solid opinion. As a game designer, I strongly feel that way. Reading to learn how to play a game is always just a bad idea. Reading for lore is fine. Totally agree. I think we've talked about it before. There was an old content creator back in the early days of the YouTube. This is well over 10 years ago at this point. Ego Raptor. He did a design breakdown of Mega Man X, and he's so fucking on point with everything in there. It's perfect. If you guys want to learn a little bit about like game design and like abstraction and how these concepts all work together, watch Ego Raptor's sequelitis Mega Man X video. It's really, really good. I wouldn't say the rest of his content is necessarily on point as much, but that one he fucking nailed. He fucking nailed that one. It was so good.
Is it Mega Man Classic versus Mega Man X?
It might be sequelitis Mega Man X.
Yeah, the sequelitis Mega Man Classic versus Mega Man X.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. This is it. Okay, I was just gonna share it so people can watch it.
For a little bit of context for you guys, this dude, there used to be like a Sony game show where like you got to become a game dev, and because of those videos, he got to like participate in this game show. It was like a reality TV show. It's very weird. But he was on that, and he had like a sort of a famous crash out that ended his career on that show. I don't even remember what it's called. It was a brief run series. But think like Big Brother, but you're a game dev, and it has all this like weird reality TV social dynamic bullshit attached to it. That was kind of what happened with him, and I think he was just like, I don't want to fucking do any of this anymore, and he just kind of vanished. Game Grumps, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was one of the Game Grumps. But we're talking like, this is like angry video game nerd, like very old, like early internet culture when the normies weren't aware of the internet yet, you know. So all of you guys that are on Twitch, because normies don't know shit about Twitch, it just does not exist. So the thing that I think is most compelling about what Egoraptor's saying in this video is he talks about the very first level. When you launch Mega Man X, you're dropped into the game immediately, and the level design teaches you to play. It doesn't pop up and tell you, use the gamepad to move left or right. It doesn't do any of that. It's just, you can't move left because there's a fucking wall there. So you need to go right. So you learn all of the levels, you're going to the right all the time. Then you hit a gap. That teaches you to jump over it. If you don't, you fall in it and you die and you start over again. So then you have to jump over the gap. That's how you should make games. I've heard that referred to as didactic game design. And what that means is teaching a player to play the game through the natural game's design. So like, and that's a little weird because there's no natural game design. It's all contrived, artificial, made by a person. But the point is that through basic gameplay, through level design, through encounter design, you're teaching the player one little piece. So you have to jump, you got to jump over a gap. Then once they learn that and they're good at jumping over gaps and they kind of get that point, then you add in an enemy that they have to shoot at, right? And so now you have to jump over gaps and shoot enemies. Or you can introduce the enemy in a vacuum and you just fight an enemy and you learn how to dodge projectiles and throw your own projectiles, defeat the enemy. Then you combine the jumping with the shooting and all of that, and then the player starts to get good at the game and they're doing the whole loop that you've got them, you know, that you think is like, this is it, this is my design, this is the fun of the game. So you have to sort of like teach them these little bits, and I always imagine it as this curve, but that's how I did the design for the Whisper and 0 Hour in Destiny. I always thought about it as like a waveform of player input, right? And that's a really weird abstraction. But what I'm thinking of is you would have these moments of high intensity where a player has to like hit these jumps perfectly, and you need a break from that. So in Destiny, I would be like, there's a series of like 3 very precise jumps followed by a series of 3 lower key, easier to hit jumps that feel really nice. You know, it's more forgiving, a larger landing area, an easier run up, a shorter gap to cut across. So you break it up like that. So you give them a little bit of a mastery moment, and then you give them one that they can crush and get through really smoothly. But then you kind of start changing around the different types of challenges. So that's where you can add in verticality. You know, you've taught them like, here's an easy jump sequence, here's a harder jump sequence, here's one that's, you know, lateral or vertical. Like, you get more stuff there. Let's see. So we talked about Duskbloods, which always makes me think of Harry Potter. Are you guys the same way with Duskbloods?
Oh, like Mudbloods.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say that, Tony.
Oh,
Not on Twitch. Okay. That's offensive. What was the other stuff? I'm seeing, like, obviously we're in a, you know, the end of the year doldrums for the games.
Oh, here's a cool one that relates to Tarkov real quick that I just saw.
Yeah, get it.
Top 10 Twitch streamers for the 4th week of December. I don't recognize all of them, but Landmark, Burnt Peanut, Very Bad Scab, and Tiggs are all in the top 10, and they're all Tarkov streamers. And the top 2 are Landmark and Burnt Peanut.
I had Landmark up yesterday for drops, and dude was carrying 70,000 viewers at like 10 p.m.
Yep. And when 1.0 dropped, like
crazy,
was the same. Like Tarkov is going the heck off on Twitch right now. I don't know why.
Yep. It's version 1.0. version 1.0 came out, they sold 1 million copies. The audience is there, the big streamers. So what I think is really smart, it's annoying as a viewer, especially when you're going for drops and shit, but these guys know that the drops are there, people are watching them, so they're running ads on the shortest interval possible. You'll watch like 10 minutes of Landmark, and then you get 3 minutes of ads, and then you get 10 minutes of Landmark, 3 minutes of ads. And it's pretty crazy. So even if you're not subbing, he's getting absurd ad revenue. So, you know, I understand why he's going so hard right now. He's probably making, you know, what would amount to him and his lifestyle like fuck you money, right? He's making so much money that it would be hard to turn that off. So I imagine that Landmark, I hope he takes a fucking break as it starts to peter out, because like, again, he's gonna grind so fucking hard he just cooks himself. So like I hope he doesn't burn out too. I know the drops is a big part, but that means good stuff for the game. Yeah. Well, I think when the drops end, he's not going to have 70,000 people watching him concurrently anymore, but that's okay. And that's, you know, it's really good for BSG. This is a very smart marketing strategy. The drops aren't even that great. Like it's just extra shit, right? They did such a good job of making people care about the loot in the game that like, it doesn't fucking matter. They're going to go turn on a Twitch stream, which is a symbiotic relationship with like Twitch, their content creators, their marketing, sales of their game. All of this is just tying together so well. So I think if anything, it's a lesson for all of us to be like, how do we get our games to a little bit of that, right? Like, how do we use all these things together? Number one, it still has to be a good game. Because those content creators are going to be ruthless. It's a bad game, they'll say it's a bad game. He kind of seems like one that can handle it. Dude already has 15k hours in the game, apparently. Yeah, I'm sure that. So if I were in his position, I would be like, this entire job of streaming is feast or famine. And he knows what the times were like when no one was watching. And he wasn't really making money. He was passionate about it. When it's feast time, you fucking eat. You have to eat as much as possible. Because, I mean, I don't think he's going to be streaming Tarkov in 10 years, right? Like, what's he going to do in 10 years? That's an interesting question. Just like, what is his job? How does he do this? So he's got to make as much money as he can right now while he can, to maybe not have that job in a few years.
Yeah, so, Ludwig always talks about how he's like, this shit's going to dry up next month. And he's like, I've been thinking that for 5 years. And he's like, I've just been operating that way the whole time, because you see a lot of people who become successful and buy a warehouse and hire 50 people and, you know, start doing all this stuff. And then, you know, they stop being popular immediately, and all of it was a waste.
And I guess for you guys, I think that's one of the things that I've always felt really strongly about, and talking to Tony about the stream and like what we do for Fractal Grove. I don't ever want to be a full-time streamer. And we've said this before, we're never going to be Pirate Software. We're not going to fucking do that. If I find myself in that position, I'm going to be like, I don't even know what I'm doing with my life anymore. Like, fuck, dude, maybe I'll go get some network certifications and go get like a regular ass job again, you know, or I'll try to get hired at a game studio, you know, something, take like a lower tier position, whatever, but go do something meaningful. Because I think pure content creation, you know, I'm not trying to talk shit. I think it doesn't have a lot of legs, and I don't think it's necessarily super useful for, just for people, for society. You know, this is cool in moderation, like joining in these communities and hanging out with people, meeting new people. There needs to be some more meat to it, other than I play a video game that this guy on the internet plays, and I really like it because of that. There has to be something else there. So in your feast time, if you were in Pirate's position, yeah, dude. And he did not feast correctly. He fucked that up really bad. He needed to feast better, and he needed to fucking hold on, and he did not. He got very strong in certain principles. I mean, we know there's the clip of him on I don't know why he did this. It was an absolutely insane decision, but he did a like therapy session that he live streamed, and his therapist was like, "You are a fucking egomaniac, dude." And he's like, "Well, no, I don't think I am." And he goes, That's my point. I'm a therapist telling you that you have ego problems and you just disagreed with me. I'm an expert. It's like, you're paying me for this. Listen to me. I'm trying to help you. And he's like, nah, you just don't get it, man. And it's like, holy shit, that arrogance is crazy. So, you know, like, we could even talk about like Lupo, right? Lupo had a massive cheating scandal. It was very bad for his career. It harmed his audience and his growth tremendously. But he's still doing his thing, and he also has at least reckoned with it and been very honest. And you know, I give Lupo a bit of a pass on being a human being, not being like an ethical content creator or anything, but I give him a pass on being a human being because this dude chose of his own free will to start a charity, and you know, his specific charity that his wife runs funnels money towards St. Jude, which is to help kids with cancer. It's a fucking selfless thing. It's amazing to do that. So I give him some leeway there. Yes, he absolutely cheated. Yes, he absolutely has ego problems. Yes, he absolutely is like wrapped up in his own bullshit. But for what it's worth, he didn't run from that. He was like, yep, it's true. He took a 2-week break, came back and was like, I'm sorry, I fucked up. He's, you know, the streams after he got caught cheating for like a month, he set all his cameras up to point at his own screen so you can see from behind him everything he's looking at, what he's doing. And I'm like, all right, I respect that. Yeah, you had a shitty moment. You're a human being, but you didn't run from it. You didn't pretend it didn't happen. And by contrast, that's all Thor did. That is the only thing he did, was deny, you know, ignore, pretend that none of that was going on, and his numbers have dropped by tens of thousands every fucking month since then. So this is even worse, Brightside. Dr. Lupo was competing in a charity chess tournament, and he was using a fucking cheat engine for chess. So he got caught because one of the players he was playing against was actually like pretty competent in chess, and he goes, this dude who's unranked in any chess tournaments just played 12 perfect moves in a row against me. And so everyone was like starting to analyze it, and they were like, oh my God, he literally did 12 perfect moves in a row. And then to make it worse, Lupo didn't think he was caught in that trap, and he started talking shit. He was like, oh, your boy's mad because I outplayed him and nah. And then people were like, dog, we got you. And he was like, fuck. And he got. Yeah, no, sorry. No. He cheated in a video game tournament on Twitch. So, and not even one like that he could have won money in. It was all for charity. And he was cheating at chess of all things, which you can like very clearly analyze for cheating in chess because there are, you know, perfect moves. And he did like computer moves that grandmasters of chess would struggle to do. So yeah, he got caught and it was really bad for him. But like I said, I give him a bit of a pass because the dude does so much for charity. He absolutely has an ego problem. I think all streamers do, right? If you're a professional streamer, it's about you all the time. And I say this as someone who is friends with professional streamers. I know them, and it's usually about them. When we're having conversations and hanging out, it's about them. But that's okay. I don't mind that. I don't hold it against them. I'm a little bit like that too, right? Like it's usually about me. But yeah. Sorry, I missed Sushi Fu. There, this may be somewhat specific and not necessarily down the path you want for the stream, but do you think there's a pathway for EFT to take the PoE model and keep content updates so regularly and successful that it maintains interest for a long time? Yeah, Sushi Fu, I think that's exactly what they're doing.
They've been doing it for 10 years, basically.
Yeah, bro. That's like their whole thing. So a good example, last week I started the test drive quest or task, and you get a gun from a guy and he's like, go kill a bunch of PMCs with this gun. When I did step 2 and step 1, they had already changed it. They had already adjusted how it worked after it went live. So there were some players who completed it in one version, and then me who is completing the newer version of that quest. But they also do seasonal stuff all the time. I was thinking, I don't know if I mentioned this on stream yet, but it reminds me a lot of, I think Tarkov is the first successful MMO shooter, if that makes sense. It's not. It lacks the social systems of like hanging out in Iron Forge, but it has so much depth to the stuff you can do that it requires mastery, and you need to spend thousands of hours in it. So you get engagement patterns from players that are very similar to a traditional, tab target or large group where you do raids and like dungeons and shit like that. It's very similar to that as an abstract in the game design. So I don't know. I think it's very, very neat.
I was gonna say it'd be cool if you could go to your friend's hideout, but I forgot that you can do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Things like the labyrinth. Yeah, and I bet Tony eventually you would be able to go to my hideout with me, and we can like hang out and go to the shooting range. Or
are you not there when I go to yours?
No, you just visit my hideout and you can use my gym and shit like that.
I've only done it the one time, but yeah, and I mean, it goes back to like them bolting a bunch of shit onto the menus and experience and not just refining what's already there. It's like it would probably make a lot more sense for you to like start the game and just like be in first person in your hideout and do stuff that way, but they've never leaned into that or anything. It could kind of operate a little more like Deep Rock Galactic or something from that perspective, which I think that lobby thing that they have going on there is like really good for hanging out with your buddies playing a co-op shooter. Like, I don't know. I always liked it.
The interesting thing, Tony, is that especially if you use Deep Rock as like a comparison, I think there's not enough to do in the social space in Deep Rock.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah.
And that would be something that we have to build. So like
you've played Ready or Not, right? The SWAT game.
Yeah.
They have the headquarters there, I think, has similar problems where it's like really big and there's not a ton of things to do, but like there's a shooting range, you can go test your guns out, you can look at the mission maps and stuff. Like it has the pieces right, but I do think Tarkov's hideout, especially like the design, is really good. And they figured out the shape is right, it's all laid out in such a way that kind of makes sense. And yeah, I don't know.
You always get to see some form.
We're just gonna glaze Tarkov forever, guys. We'll never say bad things about it. Sorry.
Tarkov is the worst made game that is really, really good. It's taken them 10 years to get there, but they did it. It's a great fucking game.
We sit here though and we like, you look at every other game that tries to do it and they avoid certain things that they shouldn't be avoiding. And I don't know.
Their ideas, the vision, the pillars, that's why Tarkov is still good. It's never deviated. It's only leaned more into being super hardcore and realistic. More and more. That's all it does. Nikita famously was like, yeah, we're going to put RPGs and grenade launchers in the game. And everyone was like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? That's crazy. Everyone's fine with it now. It's totally fine. They're in there. And it's rough, but they're not easy to use. They're very difficult to get supplies for, ammo, like, being able to make it work. They're incredibly expensive. So the risk you take by bringing an explosive ordnance device in with you is like, it's very high. And, you could fuck up and kill yourself or get killed by another player. And then now it's that other guy's shit. It's not even yours anymore. So I think a lot of people just don't run grenade launchers and stuff like that unless they're at the point where they've mastered the game and they have infinite resources and they don't really care anymore. Sushi Fu says things like the Labyrinth event made me think they could pull that off. Basically like a new league each season, but it's left in the game as they keep adding things, just like PoE does it. Exactly. Yeah, dude. It's funny to me because when I look at the Labyrinth, it's really hard for me to not see parallels to 0 Hour and the Whisper and Destiny. Because it was like a secret event that dropped that people didn't know. They suddenly got a new quest. They started doing it.
It's a very nondescript entrance in a place they've already been 1,000 times. Yep. No,
it's literally in the basement. You have new versions of bosses. It's a shorter, compact experience. You have to do a lot of risk to get in there. Like, the rewards are really high. It looks like the Whisper to me. So, if anything, you could
even just say, like, it is successful and cool for the same reasons that
was.
Exactly. And people almost never do that shit anymore, and we talk about that a lot. And it's like that's the magic in video games and stuff like that. And yeah, they pulled it off. I was talking to Greg and Aaron the other day about how I really like in Reserve how like you have to go up to go down into the bunker. Like you have to go to the highest point on the map to go to the lowest point in the map. I love that in game design. It's just like,
Yep.
I don't know, makes your brain work in different ways. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I think what I like about Tarkov is that it's respectful to the player's brain in saying you are smart enough to figure this out. I don't think it does anything that is like, here's another example I could say. I don't think it's like I want to be the guy or I want to be the Bashi in terms of challenge and arbitrary difficulty of just like, oh, you got to have pixel perfect jumps here. And then, you got to do that 16 times. Otherwise you're going to die and you have to start all the way over. Tarkov lets you, if you play a little slower and you stop and you think about things and you plan what you're doing beforehand, that's why it works really well to like role play that you're a SEAL Team 6 operator, because you want to think about the task you're trying to accomplish, how you're going to accomplish it, plan for that task, bring a kit that supports your goal, and then you accomplish it and get out. And it's very satisfying. So it respects you as a human being instead of being like, oh, okay, idiot. Sorry. No, just press this button and you'll be fine. Like I hate that in games. I really hate that. It makes me bored, makes me uninterested, and I stop playing the game. But if I like have figured something out and I'm smart and I made good choices and the game rewards me for doing that, it's perfect. Such good game design. So I will say, since we're glazing Tarkov, the UI UX is atrocious, probably worst in class. I would struggle to find a game that is as popular that has such a bad menu system. The load times are horrible. The multiplayer interface, terrible. The system for like picking up rewards from doing quests, handing in a quest or a task rather, handing in a task, absurd. Like there's no uniformity about like player interactions or anything like that.
It'll just let you like delete a thing that you can only get once. That like would soft lock you from progressing for the rest of the game. It'll just let you do that.
Yep. Sushifu's saying Hunt's UI is actually really bad. So bad that they've changed it like 3 times and they somehow make it worse every time. I mean, I recognize
UI design's like probably one of the harder things in video games, but
very hard. I think it's one of the harder things. Like that's pure design.
Yes, I've met people with master's degrees in design who understand it as a science in ways that I've never met other people that do, and it's just crazy the way that they can think about the meaning behind every single little pixel on the screen, basically.
Really good book if you guys are interested in that. You want to like grow your design brains and get a little stronger. This is a pure design study book, but it's called The Design of Everyday Things, and it talks about door handles and tea kettles and the shape of a glass that you drink water out of, right? Like all of that shit matters. It really fucking matters. The idea behind walking up to a public building and the shape of the door handle and whether or not it intuitively tells a person to push the door to open it or pull it to open it. And that's all in the shape of the door handle, right? Like really good book for abstracting things in that way. What I'm probably talking about is Bauhaus design, which is you guys I'm sure have heard this because it's timeless at this point, but it's form follows function. And what that means is if I walk up to a glass door and I don't know if I need to push or pull, push should not have a handle. It should be a pad that I press my hand into and the door moves away from me. Pull should be a handle that I grasp and pull towards me. It's that simple. Anytime you see a push and it's a fucking handle, someone has made a mistake. Like it's not your fault. It's the person that designed that door. It's their fault. My previous partner was good friends with a game designer from Valve who'd been there for like 20 years. Talking to him about UI and other things related to design was so eye-opening. His attention to detail was second to none. Yeah. That's the type of shit I like to think about a lot. I'm not academically studied in design. I'm all independent study. But that was one of my favorite things about working at Bungie is I could just pick those people's brains all the time. It was very fucking cool. that was one of my chief focuses there, was just absorbing knowledge from people who just knew more shit than I did and were better at things than I was. I loved that. It was fantastic. He get down to the tiniest details of even like, this stroke is about 2 pixels wide, drawing in proper attention. Yeah, man. Yes. That was some of the stuff I talked to Brightside about with Slice and Dice Pizza Shop Simulator. I was telling him that he had a bit of a UX problem, and we talked about like menu structure and like the flow from launching the game to getting into a game mode to starting a game, multiplayer or not, all of that. And I was like, if you change some of this iconography, if you have it more like you more constraints on it. So I think one of the examples was a button didn't look like a button because it had a different iconography than the other buttons that were buttons. And I want to say it was like the tutorial or something like that, but we talked about that. I don't even know if you change those things, Brightside, so you don't have to, but those were things that stood out to me as like, I think this would be a little more intuitive. And this is all what we call polish, right? It's not necessary, but it makes it easier for your player to get into the game and just have an experience instead of going like, well, I don't know what button I need to press, because that destroys your immersion. It pulls you out a little bit. You scrapped the whole project. Get the fuck out of here, dude. No, I saw you were putting a casino in there, right? How'd your casino come along after our convo? No, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, the things that I was talking to you about, Brightside, were like were the things that Sushi Fu was saying. This brushstroke is a little too broad and it improperly draws the attention towards that, right? Like that's the type of stuff I was trying to think about. One talk with Vincent, I'm done. No, dude, you do great stuff. I love your work, man. I feel like players intuitively get the feeling of this feels complete because of those polish levels. Yeah, you stop thinking about what you're doing and you're immersed in the fantasy of like, okay, so it sounds very like Ponzi and
it's like that good design is invisible type shit.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
The second you think about it, it's bad design.
Yep. And it sounds
immerses you. Like you need to be focused on what you're doing, and if you're thinking about other things, then it's a distraction. It's not good design. I
do recognize that it really sounds like up one's own ass to be talking about these little details that seem insignificant, but that's what separates AAA. Traditionally AAA is pretty fucking bad now, but that's what separates like AAA from indie, is that the indie guys, we typically don't have a lot of time to think about that, or the experience or the team to help us like realize that these pieces aren't hitting right or something like that, right? That's why that person goes and gets the huge job at the AAA, is because they have that knowledge and that attention to detail, right? And that's the thing that AAA traditionally beats indie at, is those little levels of polish and that super high skill level of things. But we can do that too. We absolutely can. We just got to think about this shit and talk about it and, help each other. Yeah. And it's all about maintaining that, you guys have heard it in the gamer world as immersion. But the traditional academic concept is suspension of disbelief. And that was a Disney thing, I'm pretty sure. And what he's talking about is the design of the theme parks specifically. Maintaining that idea that a guest could walk into the park and truly believe they're in a magical place. That was a pillar, right? That was like, they must truly believe they're in a magical place. And anything that works against that is fucking removed with like extreme prejudice. Every single detail must make the guest feel as though they are somewhere different, special, and in a truly magical land of Disney happiness, right? That's it. It's if you approach your game designs in that way, you're gonna be okay. Because there's a lot of people making indie games that do not do that whatsoever. They're just like, well, this is cool, I'll throw this in there. This is neat, I'll throw that in there. This is neat, I'll throw that in there. Admittedly, Tarkov started that way. But it got to a point where like they started to recognize like the shape, the vision was there, and they like really solidified that and kind of understood what they were making.
Over time, I mean, they've even showed off like a lot of stuff that still doesn't exist, like
Mhm.
climbing ladders, getting knocked unconscious. I think what some of the other big ones people have talked about are. Like, there's a slew of them, but those are the big ones that I always see mentioned, and just have never made it into the game for one reason or another.
I bet you they've tried it and they were like, this sucks. We don't fucking want this.
Ladders just feels like it's like, I don't know. People get on top of everything, rat and snipe everyone. I don't know. Probably not as fun.
But for what it's worth, they do support ratting as a playstyle, which I really appreciate. And you might see, okay, so having been in AAA, you might see telemetry from a multiplayer session aggregated over time as like a heat map, and you'd be like, players always die in this spot, and it's usually someone over here, and this person is in this corner. In AAA, what they will do is they will index on the side of the player who died in what they deem as like an unfair way due to a camper, and so then they will mitigate that and say you can't go there. In Tarkov, what I've seen is that they allow certain camping or ratting spots on purpose because they're like, no, this is good. But other ones where it's like you can kind of clip into the ceiling and do some wacky shit, I've seen them fix that. And this was specifically in a Stank Rat video. He tried to get into one of his camping spots, and they put a claymore up there. So when he climbed up there, he exploded and just died. So they were like, we're not changing the map to make it so you can't get up here. You can get up here, but you'll just die, motherfucker. Like, because that's a cheap ass spot and that's bullshit. But you can go sit over here in this bush and we don't care. You can go wait over there, because that other players need to get good at going like, there might be a dude in that fucking bush, But if you're up in the ceiling doing some like wacky shit, no, we don't let that happen. So I don't know. I feel like BSG's got a pretty decent head on their shoulders with how they're making their game work. Sushi Fu says, I like how Arc Raiders dealt with people clipping through doors they weren't supposed to get in. How did they resolve that? Because I feel like that was a conversation last week that I heard people discussing, was like, and there was like a Summit video where he was talking about spawns, where he spawned in, walked out of his own spawn, and then just turned around and waited, and players eventually started coming in, and he was just camping them and killing them over and over again. Oh, they added flamethrowers. If you didn't use the key, you got torched to death. Interesting.
Wow.
I mean, I think that's good. I like that. So, because a more technical solution is going to be more immersion breaking, right? Like, even though the person is technically breaking their immersion by exploiting gameplay systems or, a fault in environment design to get into a spot they shouldn't get into, I imagine it's a much bigger technical problem than they could solve quickly. So just doing a patch where they put some shit in there that was like, you get this flag if you have this key. If you don't have the key, you don't have the flag. If you go into the room and you don't have the flag, you get fucking torched. Cool. That seems great. I like it. Exactly, Sushi Fu. It's more like, you're doing something wrong and just don't do it. We don't want you to do it. Nobody wants you to do it. Stop it. For being a degen. Started choking on my own spit or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was terrible. What's the article you have here, Tony? Is this from Steam?
Oh no, so I made it so if I put a Steam game in, it will put the Steam game up with its, basic information and autoplay the trailer below it while we talk about it.
Oh, that's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah. And then I had the thought while we were doing this, I was like, I think I could probably use a thing to basically just listen to what we're talking about and have an AI know when we say a game and put it up automatically, so I don't have to do it. So I'm gonna try to figure that out. But as we've been talking, I've just been kind of iterating, trying to get it so that I can put an article into it and we can show the article. I can put a game into it, it'll show the game. I'm working on tweets, Reddit posts, anything that we might end up sourcing. And then I need to make it so I can control it without having to duck out of the camera every 10 seconds like I have to.
Hell yeah, dude. That's very cool. So if you guys are wondering, the December break that we've been taking, before we started working on Dread, Tony really wanted to work on this stuff and these ideas for the stream. So he was like, I need a break from Dread. he went very, very hard. He was putting long ass days in doing the tech stack refactor for how levels were structured in Dread. So he was like, I want to do this. I was like, go for it, man. You know, like get in there, like do your thing. And it's not like I'm giving him permission or anything. He's like, I'm doing this. And I was like, yeah, of course. You know, like I support whatever the fuck you want to do, man. So like that's, yeah, I think it's really neat. I'm glad that he's had some time to get in there. Just, you know, it makes the stream better for you guys, and you don't have to see all these garbage ass ads, and we can just focus on like chatting with you guys and whatnot.
Yep.
I think you know, next week we're gonna get back into like actual like doing dev shit in the regular scheduled programming. But this week has been, you know, or not this week, but this month has been really nice to just take a break, clear our heads a little bit, hang out with you guys and chat. You know, we've essentially done just chatting streams for December, but I don't mind it. I think it's fun. You guys seem to like it. You enjoy the conversations. I like when you guys type in chat and you ask questions, and it's not just like, you know, is a hot dog a sandwich, or like what's the other fucking wacky shit that chat does? Strimmer, look at me, you know, read my message, I highlighted it, watch this clip from Twitter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you guys actually have conversations with us, and that's very nice. But is a hot dog a sandwich? Does it matter?
I think the answer is like from a culinary like definition, yes, pretty sure.
Yeah.
You know, people are going to debate it until the end of time.
I don't think it matters. Yeah. You guys have heard me talk about genres. Like, yeah, I even said it about earlier today about the former marketing guy that was on Boom. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's Boom.
The former marketing guy at Bungie that was talking about Marathon and wanting to find a new label for Marathon because he doesn't think extraction shooter is appropriate. I'm like, who the fuck cares? It doesn't matter. You know, gamers who are going to buy the game already know. They already know what an extraction shooter is. Turning Cog, what's up, brother? Right side was here. Is that the new first passphrase? No, he actually got first. And we set it to where he was like, he was talking shit, and he's like, I don't want to be a firster, but because he wrote the word first, like the bot scraped it, and so he won anyway. So he was mad. Yeah, exactly, Sushi Fu. Metalheads discussing subgenres of metal. Yeah, exactly. It's
accurate.
Fine. What's that, Tony?
That's an accurate.
Yeah, it's fine. I get it. I understand why people want to do it. They want to talk about something they're passionate about and that they enjoy. But the labels are pointless, and it just doesn't fucking matter. It's so weird. So that's why I'm just like, who cares? It's a video game. My take on it is always this: if you're talking to a friend, you're like, hey, do you know anything about this thing? And they're like, no, I don't. And then you're trying to be like, how do I explain what it's like? Because I think you might like it and you should check it out. That's when it matters. Then you can say, well, it's this, and it's kind of like that, and it plays similar to this thing. You know, you can kind of like go through those things. But if we're out there on the internet talking about who is more correct in a label of something, that is a fucking waste of time. It's a huge waste of time. You're just gonna get mad. You know, someone else is gonna get mad. People are gonna argue about it. It does nothing. Boom, how are you doing? How's the I think last time I saw your stream you were working on those boots. Secret password is how many projects you have on your SSD on that given day. Damn. Oh shit, Brightside. All my t-shirts are black. I have no need of labels, but also metalheads. This growls the poetry of the soul. And your thrash is trash. All right, I got you. Nice. All right, so Turning Cog is a metalhead, and he took offense to what you were saying, Sushi Fu. You got him, dude. You got him. He's caught. So I'm looking at the Marathon thing. I do think it looks really good. I don't think... No, this is probably just my bias. I think the Bungie like marketing machine is not hitting the way it used to. Like when I was there and we were working on, you know, Destiny, I think some of the trailers and shit we had and these like Vidoc style things, I think they were pretty good, but nothing compared to the Halo 2 Vidoc and like that whole the genesis of all of this and like how Bungie does it. This has started to feel very disingenuous and fake to me. That's why I was saying I think maybe it's my bias because I've been there. You know, I know how it gets made, and I'm like, this is like smoke and mirrors. These people don't actually even give a shit about what they're talking about. They're heavily coached. You know, all the scripts are written. There's a team of people. Digital production of this is done in a very specific way. I don't know. It's weird to me. Well, what's up, Omni? It just feels like it lacks the depth we're used to with Bungie, especially. Yeah, exactly, Sushi Fu. And you know, I didn't get into the most recent playtest, but I was in the one that was NDA'd, the alpha whatever second one and the first one.
Do they have Flippy site?
I think so.
That's crazy. I just saw it in the trailer. The trailer's in a different spot on my screen than it is on the one that's playing on the stream. It's like when they're in some interior shot here, so I'm like flip it over and zoom in. It's cool.
Yeah, I think there's hope. I'm still ambivalent. I'm like somewhere in the middle. I don't know if Marathon's going to be good. Based off the last shit I played,
I think it's gone from being like probably not that good to like probably decent. And
yeah, maybe okay.
It's more like probably like the question is about the legs. I think like, is it going to last?
Yeah. Based on my impressions of the game, I am highly skeptical of the legs.
Yeah.
I think it's got a really banger 20 hours. And then you're just going to be like, I don't care. And I don't want to do this anymore.
It just seems like it needs like way more guns, way more items.
Yep.
You
the
know,
depth needs to be there. Yeah. And it's more like a wading pool where it's like really, really wide, but not very deep. Whereas like Tarkov is like an ocean, right? And I think if you're competing with the wading pool style, Arc Raiders is fucking good. Like it's really good. I don't see why people would play this over Arc Raiders unless it's just purely an aesthetic choice. And they're like, oh, I'm into the like wacky visuals and you know, it looks unique. I really do think Marathon looks unique.
I am of the belief that like there is probably, you know, tens of thousands of people who never would have played Marathon before Arc Raiders came out and now will play Marathon because Arc Raiders came out and they played it and they had a good time. And
yeah.
So that's probably good for Marathon, but I think to your point, it's like, I don't know, the competition will still be steep and they might be able to time it in such a way that like most people who are into Arc Raiders are fatigued of it, or, you know, there's not a lot of content for them to engage with anymore because it hasn't been updated in a while. And like, if they hit that, you know, they could be in good shape if it's good, but I don't
know. Get out of here, Sushi Fu. The turning cog, you're saying the lady in the beard dude? Are you talking about the beard dude with the black hat and like the reddish gray beard? That's John Goff. He's a writer. I worked with him on Destiny. He's okay. I think he's fine. When I worked with him, he was a contractor. I think as a person, I just don't care for his politics. The dude he's like very Gen X punk rock, always talking shit about something. Like if you follow him on Twitter, he's always wilding out, saying some crazy ass shit. The lady Julia, I never worked with, and she's like the lead narrative writer. So one of the cool things about John Omni is that he's done like graphic novel writing and like he's a very prolific writer. He's all over the place. LFQ, what's up, brother? No, dude, we're back. We just took last week off.
It was not super easy to get it going today, but we did it. So.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to do it today, Tony, is because I know it was going to be hard to get back into it, and we'll do a very casual and we'll just yap for a bit with you guys, and that's what we've been doing today.
I did actually come today prepared to talk about Unreal if we got to it, and we didn't, so maybe tomorrow. I'm not positive I will be here tomorrow, but if I am, then we can do that.
I will say that dude Chris Butcher is very cool. Chris Butcher is the guy that invented Xbox matchmaking. Just think about that.
No big deal.
Yeah, for Halo and that like automatic matchmaking that happened with Halo 2 on the Xbox, Chris Butcher literally invented that shit. So that guy's a fucking G. And for what it's worth, all of my interactions with him were very positive. He was genuinely just a good dude. So I loved talking with Chris. I have no idea who the blonde lady is. Kevin Whitmer, I remember him, or Whitmire. He was a junior artist when I was there, so it seems like he's moved up now that he's in a video. I think the crazy thing was in this video, my old boss is in it, and she had left and went to Probably Monsters and was working at one of those incubator studios alongside Firewalk, and now she's back. So that's a little crazy. We are not homies, so I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but I'm super curious. I want to know like what brought her back to Bungie. No, you're not wrong, Turning Cog. There's Nate Hobbiker. Nate was an okay dude. Never interacted with him. I know he has a Lambo. Sushi Fu knows him. Yeah, Sushi, are you a Washington area game dev too? I assume you might be. He's too good for you now. I liked Sussman. Sussman was cool. I can't really make any.
Sorry, I'm gonna restart it, but
oh yeah, go for it, man.
Just trying to get the layout right.
Yeah, I'm just like commenting on interactions with people that doesn't fucking mean anything. Lived in Seattle for 10 years, just outside Seattle for the rest of my life. Nice. I will say this, Sushi Fu, I fucking hated Seattle, bro. Wait, do I know you, Sushi Fu? I think I know you. Don't worry about it. I won't shatter the mystery, but I think I know you. Never trust a dude named Sussman. Yeah, he's sus, man. Seattle's culture was not what I'm used to. You know, I grew up in like the middle of the country, you know, Texas, Colorado, Oklahoma. My dad's side of the family is all from like Florida. My mom's side of the family is all from California. So I have this like really healthy mix of different types of American cultures. I'm used to saying hello to strangers and like holding the door for them and like saying, hey, good morning or whatever, right? Shit like that. Like, and Seattle does not fucking work that way. Yeah, the passive aggression, like I'm a real person. I mean, you guys have heard me say a bunch of shit on stream that I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I'm just a real person. And I expected that in kind from people in Seattle, and I got it very rarely. There's an exception. My in-laws, my wife has several family members that live there. So when I moved out to work at Bungie, I lived with them for a little bit. Amazing people. They were great. And they're like, I guess they're not even native either, but they've been there for a long time. Very cool people. So I loved hanging out with them. Are the things... who the fuck is Niche, dude? Stream overlay chat paused, says Turning Cog.
Yeah, I'm working on things. I'll fix it.
Places like Cap Hill have less of that. The other thing, Sushi Fu, is that it's too crowded. And, people talk about how the weather like really gets to you and like the darkness. I found that the opposite side of things was actually really true too. The summer, having the sun rise at like 4 a.m. and set at literally 10 p.m. So it wasn't dark until 10 p.m. That fucked me up. I could not sleep. My sleep patterns were super jacked. That I'm sure combined with the stress of just working in AAA and, trying to not fuck up and make cool shit in Destiny because it was incredibly cutthroat still. It wasn't necessarily just the weather. It was the congestion. Everybody's on top of each other. There's like 4 roads in and out of the Seattle area. Traffic is atrocious. It's so bad. It really is like Southern California. And then, there being too many people. The other feeling that I got was like claustrophobia. Like the world was a lot smaller because of all the trees. You get a very little bit of sky that you can even see. And when you do see it, it's, overcast and super gray. So like that made me feel like people in the area cared about a lot of shit that didn't even matter. And I felt like every time I came home to Colorado over, like holiday breaks and stuff, I would just be like renewed, like being able to see the sky. Like, I don't know, seeing a large amount of the sky, because where I live in Colorado, I'm on the eastern slope. So the Rocky Mountains and the Continental Divide is like on one side, and you can always see it from pretty much wherever you are. And then the other direction is the Great Plains. So you just see like a ton of sky in Colorado. And that it kind of reminds you like you are an insignificant human. The universe is much bigger than you. But in Seattle, I had this feeling that like people cared about shit that just didn't matter, because the sky was like very closed in. Everything's like right in front of you, very close. You're on top of each other, and people just pissing each other off. Right? That was kind of the vibe I got. It's weird, and I'm projecting a bit of my own feelings. That's how I felt, and I felt like people were interacting with me that way. Big sky keeps you humble. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Turning Cog. Very much a central hub for virtue signaling, and it annoys the shit out of me. Yeah, exactly, Sushi Fu. Yeah, you sound like a real one, dude. So I will say that the coolest people that I met out there were non-native, either immigrants. Oh, I saw the Flippy site, Tony. Yeah, it went like bloop. It was the little yellow guy. Mm-hmm. Either immigrants, and they weren't from the area, and they got a tech job and they moved in. Asian, either like Southwest, Southeast Asian. Very cool people. Got along with them great. People who worked in the game industry became from like the East Coast or from somewhere else entirely. Got along with them great. People that came from California or Bay Area, nope. People that were native to Seattle, nope. 20-year-olds who are on Twitter all the time, absolutely fucking not. And the thing that's weird about it is I was just me, and I was just friendly to them, and they fucking hated me. No matter what I did, no matter how nice I was, they just had it out for me. And they would be super unkind, talk shit behind my back, like work to create problems for me that I wasn't aware of. And I was just like, wait, what? I thought we were buddies. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I remember I used to go to lunch with this dude who was on my team, younger than me by a lot. Like, dude was like 19 and I was like 35. But we would go out to lunch like every day. And he was my design lead for one of the projects I was on. And I found out that, like, as we were sitting there having lunch and chatting, he was like taking notes on me and then going to our boss and being like, hey, this guy's a piece of shit. And I'm like, dude, we've been going to lunch every day for fucking 8 months. Are you kidding me? Why would you do that? Like, I had the boss go, this guy's not your friend. I'm like, that's weird. We hang out sometimes outside of work and like play games together, and we go to lunch literally every day together. And he goes, yeah, he's telling me a bunch of shit about you. And I was like, what the fuck, man? I was just like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, dude, if we're out at lunch and we're venting about some shit, like, it is what it is. I'm not going to go tell this guy, hey, fuck you, guy. You're a fucking idiot. Like, because it's not useful. I'm not going to get in a fight with someone, but I'll be like, oh, man, we were in that meeting. Yeah, it was so stupid. It was very irritating. And I guess he would just like go tell those people I said that shit. And I just didn't understand why he would even want to go to lunch with me in the first place if that was the case. It was crazy. Another thing is we were making video games. It's a fun job. I like to have beer at lunch. 1 beer, 2 beer. That's it. The company had company events centered around alcohol and drinking and partying. Totally fine. This dude and, other people on my small team would be like making cracks about being an alcoholic. And I'm like, dude, I had a beer at lunch. What are you talking about? And then like, I would chew a piece of gum because I didn't brush my teeth after lunch. And they're like, that the gum isn't hiding the alcohol in your breath. And I was like, I'm not trying to hide alcohol in my breath, man. I'm an adult. I'm literally allowed to have a beer with lunch. It's legal. It's fucking fine. And I was like, I'm chewing gum because I don't want to have shit stuck in my teeth and I didn't brush my teeth. What the fuck is wrong with you? But like, that's what I'm saying. I was just existing. I was just being friendly and nice to these people. And they're like, I fucking hate this guy. I'm going to work against him and talk shit and cause problems, but still interact with him and hang out with him all the time. Like, what the fuck? It was the weirdest thing. Anyway, so I'm giving you guys some war stories, but traffic is terrible. Anyone doing anything good for New Year's? Bright side, I'm going to chill at home, probably drink a bottle of Prosecco, I think is what we got in the fridge. Some Prosecco with the wifey. So New Year's Eve is actually an anniversary for us. So we dated at the end of high school. I met her at high school graduation party for my class. And it was cool. We hit it off immediately. We dated for like a year. She went to school in California. We dated long distance for like a year. Then we broke up and then, spent like 7 years apart, got back together. The night we got back together, we've been together since. And this was New Year's Eve 2010, 2011. So like from 10 to 11. And we've been together ever since. Literally sitting in a tree. She's my favorite person, dude. She's fucking amazing. So it's an anniversary for us. So we're going to hang out, probably a little smooch at midnight. But yeah, we've been doing that for, shit, dude. Back when I was gainfully employed making money, we used to go to a fancy restaurant on New Year's Eve. It was really nice. We haven't done that in a while, but it was a good time. Tony says chug a bottle of vodka, eating what's an Olivier salad?
This is the final quest for the holiday thing in Tarkov. You have to go to the Christmas tree, chug a bottle of vodka, eat the potato salad thing, and shoot off fireworks.
Nice, that's sick. Okay, sorry, I had to catch up on chat. What's up, Artificial Sky? I'm sorry, brother, I missed you in there. I see your emotes. It was story time for me. Whole sky thing I can understand. Everyone has their own upbringings and whatnot. Yeah, dude. Sushi Fu, I think like formative years for me were like California and Texas sky, which is like 80% more sky than you get in Seattle. I will say that I had some really good times. I finally got it. We went up to Leavenworth for like Christmas town bullshit, right? Leavenworth was pretty cool. It reminded me a little bit of Colorado. And then we went on to Lake Washington with Rob, one of the art director dudes. He had a boat, and we would go out there a couple times. And like being on the lake was fucking sick. It was cool. That's when I was like, all right, I get this place. It's got some interesting charms to it. But the day-to-day, like in the city around the people, fucking sucked. I went to, some bars over in Seattle. Another like person I worked with, he was in like a band, and I went to a couple of his shows and stuff, and those were over in Seattle proper. He moved to West Seattle, so I don't know. It wasn't hitting for me. It's a fine place to visit. I like going there for like 3-4 days, and it's very cool. The food is incredible. I miss the food. I gotta say that. Like, Washington, Seattle area food has Colorado's food fucking destroyed. It's not even close. Oh yeah, so sushi food, those people are Seattle people. That's not what it's like in like the middle of the country. In the middle of the country, people are very nice. They don't talk shit about you. It's kind of a live and let live, especially in the military. And I grew up in a military family, so like that's why I'm very direct. All communication is direct. You assume like candor at all times, and that's the opposite of what it's like in Seattle. Distinct lack of confrontation. Exactly. You had to try and overcome growing up, initiating, navigating healthy confrontation. Yeah, I'm very used to confrontation. If someone says something that bothers me, I'll be like, hey man, what'd you mean? Like, that was fucked up. Why'd you say that? And like, some people would be like, oh my God, why are you bringing that up right now? And I'd be like, because I've got to resolve this because I'm pissed off and I want to punch you in the face, but I want to understand and talk it through instead, right? Like, that's it. It's not like you're operating heavy machinery. Yeah, this was the beer story at lunch. Exactly, Turning Cog. We made video games. There was one year of pentathlon where ambulance got called for 2 separate people because they were too fucking drunk. And I'm like, you guys are going to get mad that I have, or like, not even mad, just talk shit and be like, I don't know, like little fucking rats, and like try to cause drama about me having a beer at lunch. Like, what the fuck is that? It's crazy. But some of the best times with anime figurines, when I became friends with him, we were working on 0 Hour. I got him to come to lunch with me, and we would have lunch beers, and he was a chill bro. That's why we're still very good friends. We went through the shit together. We had lunch beers and we fucking crushed it and did a good job. Omni's got a hockey game, whack as fuck. I hope you have fun though. Yeah, it's got to be annoying. Used to have beer during lunch when I worked at a bank. Had no issues. Yeah, exactly, dude. I had lunch beers all the time in a bunch of places. Viper and Sparkle sitting in a tree. They're gonna bump uglies on New Year's Eve. Brightside. That is borderline above PG-13. It's okay. We're married though. Artificial Sky. I'm gonna catch up on your shit, bro. I got this. I get this shit on my job too. It's indicative of climber mentality. Basically, people see you as a part of a zero-sum system to them getting promoted. Yeah. They were like in direct competition. It's a lot of naivete too. They were like younger people, by like 15, 20 years younger than me, which is very weird. Yeah, it was fucked, and I was just like, why do you guys just not care about making a good game first? Like, it was crazy. So, I mean, you guys know, I have somewhat of a divisive personality, and there's either people really like me or they really fucking don't like me. And I have a very hard time judging who really doesn't like me. I'll still be friendly and nice to someone who doesn't like me and not even know that they fucking hate my guts. And it's because the thing I don't understand is if you don't like me, fuck off. Go away. Stop hanging out with me. Stop coming around and having conversations with me. Just leave, right? Like, that's what I don't understand, because that's what I would do. Is I'd be like, well, I'm not going to talk to that guy anymore. I don't like him. I finally got this damn game. All right, Turning Cog. Yeah, I want to know about your Tarkov. So we have a meeting. Are you still good? You want to meet after stream? We're about to wrap up. What's up, Burnt Pineapple? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope you had a good one. Yeah, exactly, Artificial Sky. You get it. You know what I'm saying. It was just shit that I didn't think was real until I was like out there. And then I was like, wait, what the fuck? This is real? Like, I thought it was just like people on the internet talking about some boogeyman that's not real. You know, considered myself very progressive from where I'm from, and then I was not considered that at all. I was the devil. I was evil cishet white man, you know, with some middle of the country mentality. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I grew up in Boulder, Colorado. Like, it's one of the most liberal goddamn places I've ever been, you know?
Yeah, let's get it wrapped up here. I gotta get going. If like I said, I am not positive I'll be here tomorrow. I'll try to shoot a message into the Discord with my plan when I figure it out. But if we are, I might try to talk about some Unreal things in Lyra specifically, which I don't think we've ever actually gotten to. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're good, bro.
If anybody who's around knows much about Lyra or has messed with it, definitely you should come through and talk to me about it, because I've been studying up again, and it's so dense. There's just so much to it, and that's kind of why I want to talk about it.
Hell yeah. Lyra's a nightmare to navigate.
Lyra, very scary.
Yep. Oh no.
Yep. These guys know. Yep. We've all gone down the path of being like, oh man, Lyra looks like a real nice starter for a game. It's got all the multiplayer. It's got the gameplay ability system. The animations look good. It's got shooting, you know, like, and I'm saying all this because I've literally been going down this path, of course. And yeah, it's been like literally 4 days of sitting there fighting with it just to like replicate what their setup is outside of their setup, and insane. So yeah.
Well, hell yeah. Cool. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you, gang, for coming through. I hope you guys have a great a fun and safe holiday. Hope everyone gets to spend it with people that they care about. And yeah, at the very least, I'll be here tomorrow. And I'll probably just yap at you guys some more. I might I want to get back into Dread and really start doing stuff, so I might do a little bit of that while I yap tomorrow. Do some more art crimes. We'll see how it goes, because I really don't know, looking at the state of video game news and whatnot, it's dead right now. They ain't shit, so kind of a waste. Yo, thank you for the Prime Turning Cog. Yeah, Cog, give me a few minutes, but I'll hit you up in a DM, and then we can hop in a call and chat about Vane and see where you're at. I think that's all I've got. Yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate you guys being here after we took a week off. Yeah, look forward to chatting with you tomorrow. And then next week, we're going to get more heavily into Dread again and wrap that bitch up and send it out there into the world to live. And we'll see how it goes. Yeah, you're welcome, Sushi Food. Thank you for coming through again. Who was, what was the other guy? Hard Worker or something like that? I appreciated seeing him around. Hopefully he's still here and enjoying the conversation and stream. Yeah, thank you, Brightside. Yeah, our actual anniversary is in June, but yeah, this is still, we have like 2 anniversaries. It's how it goes when you're with someone for like 20 years, 15, 16 years. Okay, thank you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, take it easy. Everyone be safe. Have a great holiday.